it is Tuesday night, and in our household, that means it is
Finance Trucker Night.
whoop whoop. What do you think? Jokes aside, every Tuesday night, we try to do an update of our finance tracker. We don't like to call it a budget tracker because we don't think it's actually something that restricts us. We think it's something that really empowers us. Enables us, yes. So this video is mostly going to be the 3 money lessons that we wish we learnt sooner. But we're also going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes Tuesday night antics of updating our finance tracker. I think we've turned it into a pretty fun activity. Not to say we always enjoy doing it, but once you get going, the benefits are really worth the process.
I think it's good to see where our money's going and where too much of our money's going, coffees. So yeah, it's good to keep track of it.
Yeah, so we started this process in January this year, and we have been very consistent. Even if we miss a Tuesday here and there, we always catch up. The longer we do this, the more beneficial I think it becomes, because we can see the trend and we can see the patterns, we can see where we started, and really cool to build the big picture, which you don't really get if you're just randomly tracking 1 month here and 1 week there. So we use a tracker that we got from Etsy. I've actually been using this tracker personally for years and years and years, and now we both use it together as a married couple, and it is probably the number 1 tracker I would ever recommend to anyone. I've shared it with lots of my friends, and I'll leave a link to it down below as well if you're interested. So without further ado, because it is already 8:37 p.m, we better crack onto it. The whole process doesn't actually take us very long. It's probably just the process of getting started, not getting distracted. And let me actually show you what we literally do. Where's my laptop? Right, so we literally grab the laptop, and then we will be airplaying this laptop onto the TV, because it's much easier to see a detailed spreadsheet on a big screen. So let's start with the setup. This is as real as it gets, so please don't judge the messiness. It is just a random weeknight. All right, getting cozy is also a part of the setup, because you want to be comfortable when you're dealing with numbers and spreadsheets, right? I forgot to mention there is a reward at the end of this process, which we don't necessarily need, but today I feel like it, and that is ice cream.
Not just any ice cream. Ninja creamy ice cream.
Let's actually get started. It is now 8:40 on the TV. Crank some beats, because that is also a necessity in this process. You got to create the vibes. I think this is something that has been missing from all finance videos. Create the vibes. I think that has been our key to consistency in this whole thing. Make it fun. Don't know if you can hear that, but we're playing vibes now. Now, before I get into sharing my money lessons, I wanted to mention that most of my life, I thought money was all about the practical stuff, the saving, the investing, and more saving. But as I've gotten older, I've realized more importantly, it is about your money mindset and how you approach money, the psychology behind your money management. And that is what these lessons are based on. Now, because it is mid-month, we're just going to get straight into putting in our transactions, both expenditure and deposits from the last week. We last updated this last Tuesday. If it was the beginning of the month or the end of the month, we would be doing a few additional things. But today's pretty straightforward. We pull up our credit card and bank accounts. Well, one person does that and reads them out, and the other person plugs them in, and everything's categorized, so it's very easy. So yeah, let's take it away. All right, lesson 1 is that tracking your money is empowering and not restrictive. We have already alluded to this in the video, but we believe that tracking gives you information, and information gives you choices and empowers you. Just because you're tracking your finances or you have a budget, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't spend or you have to spend less. All it means is that you have data points available to you, and you therefore get to make intentional decisions instead of wondering or not wondering where the money is going. So don't think about tracking and budgeting as a punishment. Just think about it as information, and information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. I did used to think budgeting meant restricting myself, and now I quite literally think the opposite. And now if we don't do this tracking exercise, and if we don't loosely budget, that's when I actually feel restricted. I feel like it's similar to when we talk about being disciplined with yourself and how discipline actually gives you freedom. I think that analogy can be applied to money. When you know where it's going, you can actually spend a bit more freely, because otherwise you might be spending frivolously, actually feeling guilty about it, but that is going to catch up with you. So tracking is empowering, not restrictive. I need this song.
Okay.
So good. What is it? Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, perfect. $1.60.
Whoops, I got distracted by the music. Too vibey. We're too good at creating the vibes. I just entered a transaction, which is $1.60 on the 17th of August for internet payment. Because we double paid last month, so our internet payment this month is free. Free internet. Girl math. Is that what it's called? Okay.
$26.60. Grocery, Coles.
Now, if it seems a bit odd that we are manually typing in each and every transaction when there are clearly hundreds of apps available that automatically connect to your bank account and do all of this analysis for you, I don't know about you, but personally, I've tried those and they never worked for me because I need to actually go through the process of inputting every single transaction, because that's what forces me to actually understand what the hell is being spent. For example, we just realized that we spent a certain amount of money on coffee and some cake over the weekend. And obviously you just tap your card and you don't really realize how much something is costing you. And if an app was automatically doing this for me, I also don't think I would really review it that much. But because I'm having to type in the number, I was like, whoa, that coffee and cake was an absolute ripoff. Not to say we're not going to do it again. Because
we probably will.
Because we probably will. But it is just funny. But it's just eye-opening. All right, lesson number 2 is that money is a tool, but it is not the goal. Just like anything else, I believe the more you chase after something, the more it will be harder for you to retain. I try not to make the accumulation of money a goal in itself. Rather, I think, what do I want the money to do for me? How do I want the money to serve me? I totally acknowledge this is a privileged position to be in, and it's not a position I was always in. First and foremost, money is a necessity for majority of people. It is for survival purposes and an absolute necessity. But as I've worked hard over the years, again, being from a very privileged place of even having the education and the opportunities to build wealth or have an opportunity at doing so, I've worked on the idea of money becoming a tool. And rather than thinking about how much money should I now have, I just think about whether I have enough for the things I want to do now and in the future. Expenditure transactions are done. Now we're going to go through, that's like all credit card based. Now we're going to go through everything, all transactions in our bank accounts, which are not that many because we use credit card for most things. So this should be pretty quick. It's a banger too.
I know.
Transactions in terms of expenditure now done, and then we've also updated transactions for any shares, crypto, and other savings that we're doing. Oh, and income deposits, of course, very important. Done. It's 9 o'clock. It probably took a little bit longer because we were filming and moving the camera around and maybe a bit too much vibing, but done. Yeah, it really most weeks takes us 10 to 15 minutes once we actually sit down. And then you just feel so good. You're like, I know exactly how everything is looking. Then one final thing we do at the end of updating everything is there's a section on the spreadsheet that is like all the categories of your expenses. I'll put a screenshot of like an empty one. So there's a budget column and an actual column with all the categories like groceries, dining out, petrol, shopping, blah, blah, blah. And so at the start of every month, we allocate a rough budget to each category. And every week, once we've updated all our transactions, we check how we're tracking against the budget. Just so we're informed, we don't necessarily let this dictate how we're living our life, but it's like a data point so that maybe if we've gone over something by a lot before we spend on something again, we might we'll consider that. But at the end of the day, we're still going to live our lives because overall we're still making smart decisions with our money. But again, this is just a tool to give us information rather than not knowing and then only realizing way, way, way later, or actually just never knowing at all. Okay, let's go through how the categories are tracking. All right, so groceries, spot on. We've got our grocery budget down to a literal cent. We spend almost exactly the same amount every month on groceries, so that's pretty cool. Dining out.
Oh, your birthday.
Yeah. Big dining out budget this month because it was my birthday. Petrol, looking good. Shopping. What did we buy? Oh, we haven't spent any of the shopping budget.
It's halfway through the month and we've spent $1.50 on shopping. There's a big drop down from, I don't know, start of the year when we were spending too much. And well,
we didn't know. We didn't know.
$1.50 was that on? That was probably, I don't know, like
we bought some spoons.
And
we bought some spoons from Kmart.
No, that was on the home.
Oh, $1.50.
That was the Officeworks paper.
We bought paper.
Yeah.
We bought paper for $1.50. Home, that's fine. We allocated to buy like a console table. That's all good. Gifts, we have no one to gift this month.
I got you flowers.
Oh, gifts on track.
I got you flowers. So 65.
Gifts, we're over. We're over. And lesson number 3 is to learn the psychology of money and not just the mechanics of money. I wish I spent just as much time learning about my relationship with money as I did learning about investing and saving and budgeting and how tax works. Those things are obviously necessary and useful, but understanding why you spend, where you struggle to save, where are you avoidant with money, where do you compare yourself and feel anxious in your life about money. Learning things like that and actually reading books, listening to podcasts, listening to other people's perspective on money. I highly recommend this book, by the way, The Psychology of Money. I think these things can fundamentally change your financial life because they give you a totally different way to think about money that you otherwise might not have because they don't teach you these things in school, remember? All right, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far and for joining us for our Finance Tracking Tuesdays. If you're just getting started with thinking about managing your finances more actively, my biggest takeaway for you would be to find the thing that is going to work for you. So even if you're seeing us using this spreadsheet and us updating it weekly and you think, yeah, I'm going to adopt that. No, like try it. It doesn't work for you. Just keep experimenting and tweaking until you find what does. And I genuinely think that making it fun, which it is more fun when you do it with someone, so I'm lucky in that respect, but find a way to make it fun because if it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, it's not going to be easy to be consistent. And I do think consistency is important when it comes to these things. So find an app that does it automatically or create your own spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be sophisticated or fancy. It just has to be simple and it just has to work. So yeah, if you have any questions on this topic or any ideas for other videos you would like to see on this topic, let me know. I plan to make a more detailed version of this going into why we set up the spreadsheet the way we did, what categories we track, in a more detailed way, how we actually manage our money, how we think about investing and saving and spending and all of those things. So yeah, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video because that really helps as well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.